Hello my friends, in today's video we will take a look at Sony FE35mm F1.4 GM. Sony's GM lenses are of course known for providing outstanding optical qualities in a small package. 35mm F1.4 was released back in 2021 and I would say that it is one of the most important lenses in the E-mount system. In this video, we will take a look at how it performs with Sony A7R 5 and 61MP sensor. 35mm is a very versatile and neutral focal length. It offers a balance between wide-ish field of view and emphasis on the subject. It is useful for anything from landscapes and cities to environmental portraits and even product photography. It is also the most popular focal length for street photography and reportage. Most people like 35mm for the versatility, but there is also a group of photographers that find it uninteresting. F1.4 aperture offers a lot of subject separation even at 35mm and it makes it very suitable for low light shooting. 35mm GM is exceptionally small and light for what it can do. It is just 96mm long and it weighs just 524 grams. The build quality is identical to the 24mm GM, which means that it is very good. The outer shell is made of high quality plastics. I don't mind that because it saves some weight and it still looks and feels very premium. The mount is metal of course and there is a weather sealing gasket around the mount. This lens is comprehensively weather sealed, so it is dust and moisture resistant. Mounted on any Sony A7 series camera, it is very well balanced and this combination is very travel friendly. It uses a very common 67mm filter thread. That is great because other GM primes and various other popular lenses use the same diameter. That means that I can use it with my favorite 67mm freewell variable ND filters. It comes with a reasonably long lens hood. It has a proper release button and what I specifically appreciate is the rubber on the front part which acts as a bumper of sorts. Regarding the control elements, 35mm offers the full GM controls package. Focusing ring is extremely smooth, it has very reasonable amount of resistance and nice grippy texture. It is focus by wire system of course, but it is linear and it is actually one of the best focus by wire systems that I have tried so far. 35mm GM also has an aperture ring. You have an option to switch between operation with clicks or smooth aperture changing. That is especially important for video because it allows you to make smooth aperture changes. You can also set it to A position and control the aperture in camera. Switch for automatic and manual focusing is available as well. I appreciate that because it is not available on A7 cameras and it is more convenient than using a function button. Last but not least, we have a custom button. You can set the functionality of this button in the camera menu and it is in a good position, so it is nice to have one more custom button. So how about the optical qualities? I have tested this lens with a 61MP sensor in Sony A7R 5. This sensor is relatively demanding, but this is a GM prime, so the expectations are very high. And as expected, the image quality in the center of the frame is excellent right from f1.4. The sharpness is outstanding and I don't really see any chromatic aberration even at f1.4. There may be a slight increase of contrast at f2. Beyond f2, you will get great image quality. f2.8, f4, 5.6 and 8 look pretty much perfect. There is a little bit of diffraction at f11. The resolution in the corners at f1.4 is also great. The contrast is also excellent and there is no chromatic aberration, but there is some noise suggesting that profile corrections are in action. The noise is mostly gone at f2 and completely gone at f2.8 where we can see perfect image quality. That continues from f2.8 to f8. There is a tiny bit of diffraction at f11, but the image quality is still excellent. The optical performance of this lens is outstanding. There are some minor imperfections at f1.4, but those will be difficult to see in real-world use. 35mm GM produces pretty amazing output in combination with a 61 megapixel sensor. Much like with 24mm GM, the contrast is even more impressive than the sharpness. It takes incredibly crisp images. Zooming into high texture pictures is very interesting in combination with the 61 megapixel sensor. Overall, this is yet another optically excellent GM prime. It is not quite perfect though. The amount of distortion is pretty low, but there is a lot of vignetting at wide apertures. Most of the vignetting is already gone at f2, but there is minor digital brightening of the corners up to f4. Much like with some other Sony GM and G lenses, this is the price for a very compact size, and I think that it is worth it. The minimum focus distance is 25 cm, which translates to 0.26 times magnification. That is pretty good for this type of lens. The image quality at the minimum focus distance is very solid from f2. One of the biggest strengths of the 35mm GM is the bokeh. Sony uses 11 aperture blades, and I can say that they have figured out the bokeh on these f1.4 primes. The transitions between subjects in focus and out of focus are exceptionally smooth. At f1.4, you can get a lot of background separation at 35mm. You can use that in a very creative way to get a very unique look, which also increases the versatility of this lens. Regarding the autofocus, as usually, there is not much to talk about. As expected, everything works perfectly. The focusing is as fast and as accurate as it gets with both A7R and A7R5. Naturally, all smart features including Bird Eye AF and all tracking modes work as well. Focusing mode is completely silent, so you can use it for video with internal or shotgun microphone with no issues. Much like with the 24mm GM, there is one more compromise necessary to achieve that compact size, and that is the focus breathing. There is quite a lot of focus breathing. Newer Sony cameras have focus breathing compensation that will get rid of focus breathing in video. As expected, 35mm GM is not optically stabilized. Fortunately, in-body image stabilization in Sony cameras of late is more than sufficient at 35mm focal length. That is especially important on A7R5 because with this kind of resolution you will see any imperfection. It also works well for video. Especially the A7R5 has an excellent video stabilization that is great for minimizing smaller shaking in static shots and panning. You will get very stable footage with this combination. To sum up, 35mm f1.4 GM is another outstanding prime from Sony. This performance is not as shocking as it was with 24mm GM back in 2018, but it is excellent overall. For all intended purposes, this is a 35mm version of 24mm GM, which is pretty much the highest praise of a lens that I can give. The optical performance is excellent. Minor imperfections caused by profile corrections will only be visible in extreme situations at f1.4. The lens is well made and it offers a full set of controls. It is very compact and relatively light for what it can do. The highlights for me personally are the bokeh and the contrast. Those are outstanding. The only imperfection other than that corner noise is the focus breathing, which is once again priced for that compact size. And speaking of the price, this lens is not particularly cheap. If you can appreciate this kind of optical qualities, it is worth that price though. So that's it for this video, thank you for watching, I hope that you liked this video and that you have found it to be useful. Stay tuned for more videos and maybe consider subscribing if you don't want to miss my future content. I appreciate your feedback in form of thumbs up or thumbs down. If you would like to ask anything or share your opinion, please do so in the comment section, and see you next time.